Hey guys, I'm Bonnie. Baby Dean and I are here to tell you all about the very best baby products on the market today. Now, I know there are a million and one ultimate baby registry gift lists out there on the internet, and that's not what I'm bringing to you today. I'm not going to tell you all of the dozens and dozens of products that are out there and that you have to have and try to sell you a bunch of stuff. Instead, I'm going to share with you the knowledge and wisdom I have gained over 14 and a half years of researching, buying, and using baby products, and what we figured out works best for different phases and different styles of life. Okay, it can be really easy to get caught up in the excitement and the brand new experience of bringing home a new baby and to go out and register for and buy all the amazing baby products and gear and all the hoopla that's out there. But we run the risk of filling up our homes with a bunch of junk we don't need, spending a ton of money, and then ending up just getting stuck with all this stuff and it piling up in our garage in future years. So I'm going to help you sort through the major items that most people register for, decide whether or not it's right for you, and if it is something you really need, how to decide what the best brand or model is. Now let's be honest, if we were stranded on a desert island, what would we need to survive with a baby? Like some food, so either breast milk, formula in bottles, some onesies, a blanket, some diapers. That's about it, right? So bare basic necessities, that's all we really need. We could make a little hammock for our kid to sleep in or just put them in bed with us. But because most of us are blessed with more modern conveniences and a little bit of money to spend on our babies and maybe a baby shower pending that you get to ask for a lot of things for, we are able to buy more nicer commodities for our children. Okay, so first off, what we're gonna talk about is a bed for a baby. When you first bring a baby home from hospital birth center or whatever, I personally love having a bassinet right by the side of my bed. I've also looked into having side sleepers, so they're basically like a little bassinet, little pack and play with one side that drops down so that you can nurse baby in bed and then just push them right back into their bed. So they're sleeping separate from you but still right next to you. I love that idea as well. I think both of those are really, really great ideas. The other option is like a Moses basket and a little rocking stand, or even just putting them on the floor. Really lots of different options depending on what you think will be best for your family. I personally look for a few different things in the bassinet that I buy. I like one that rocks a little bit. The entire stand doesn't have to rock, but if at least the bed portion will sway a little bit when baby's cranky and I'm still in bed, I can kind of kick my foot out and rock them a little bit and see if it'll calm them down. Secondly, it has to be small-ish. I want to be able to move it from room to room if necessary. For example, recently Dean started having a hard time sleeping with a lot of noise from the other kids. So I just pushed his little bassinet into our walk-in closet, closed the door, put on the white noise in there, and he sleeps like a dream. So it's really nice to have a small bed, at least for those first 6 months or so, where you can move baby around if necessary. Now that being said, a Moses basket, bassinet, side sleeper, your baby's not going to be in that for a long time. So this is definitely something that's useful to borrow or buy secondhand because you're not going to need it for that long. If you plan on having more babies, then go ahead and hang on to it if you want to. But honestly, in our personal experience, we've been having babies for so many years and gotten so tired of the overwhelm of baby stuff that we often just give our baby stuff away or lend it out to someone when our baby's done using it, and then we rebuy it or get it back from the friend or just buy it secondhand when the next baby comes along. It just makes a lot more sense for our family so that we don't have to hold on to all this stuff year after year after year and it just collects dust in the garage when we're not using it. So then that moves us on to the crib. The crib is what your baby's gonna transition into after they're too big for the bassinet or the Moses basket. And cribs are really self-explanatory. It's just a big bed that your baby can sleep in until they get old enough to sleep in a bed of their own. Now, I personally like to choose a crib that is very basic in style. I don't like a lot of frills or bells or whistles because if you plan on having future babies, you're gonna want something that stays in style for a long time. You don't necessarily want to be buying a new crib every time you have a baby, right? So we've actually gone through about 2 main cribs. We had a third on and off for older toddlers and when we had the twins. But those 2 basic cribs that we had were great, just really durable. It pays to spend a little bit more money on these cribs because they're gonna last a long time, especially if you have multiple children. And I love a little bit of storage in the crib. The crib we currently have has 2 drawers on the bottom, which is awesome for diapers or stashing blankets, etc. And I think ours is pretty cute. One note about convertible cribs. So this seems to be a really popular phenomenon where people buy the cribs that then transition into a toddler bed. Now this can be great if this is going to be your only child or your last child and you plan on keeping the kid in the bed even after they turn into a toddler and they want to be able to get out independently. But that being said, if you are planning on having a baby anytime in the next like 5 years, you're gonna be using that crib for your new baby. So you're probably not gonna transition it to a toddler bed and then right back into a crib for the next baby. Just a thought. Also a side note, kids grow out of toddler beds really quickly. So we owned one for a few years, then we got rid of it and never went back because by the time a kid can get out of bed independently, we just move them on up to a twin size. While you definitely want to choose a crib that is high quality so that it lasts, it's not a bad idea to look into a used crib as long as you get one that matches all the safety specifications of today's day and age. I would not recommend getting a used mattress, mostly because it's kind of a safety issue and also because babies do gross things in their crib. They take their diapers off, they throw up, they, you know, ugh, ugh. I have always bought a new mattress when we've needed one for our babies just because of my peace of mind and knowing that it's intact and nobody else has puked on it yet. Okay, moving on, let's talk about a car seat. A car seat is probably the one necessity that almost every baby needs, although if you live in downtown Manhattan or Singapore, maybe you don't even need one of those if you don't drive a car. For us personally, we've always had a nice new infant car seat because that's also a really big safety issue. After a few years, I think it's about 5 years, infant car seats expire, especially if you live in a place with extreme heat. So our heat tends to wear down plastic, and so if it sits in the car, especially for years at a time, the structural integrity can be compromised. So we definitely recommend following the manufacturer's expiration date and buying a new one if necessary, and not starting off with a used car seat because you never know if it's been an accident or not. We personally love the Chico brand, so that's what we bought for the twins 8 years ago, and we used theirs till it expired, and then we bought the exact same car seat over again because we just loved it so much. A few of the features that I love is it's fairly lightweight. Now you gotta realize as your baby gets heavier, hauling that car seat around with the baby in it is a lot of strain. And number two, I really like to get a car seat that allows for a baby to be as heavy as possible. So you never know if you're gonna get kind of a little chunky baby, and you want them to be able to last in that infant car seat until they're able to turn around and move up to a bigger convertible car seat. If you get an infant car seat that only takes the baby up to about 20 pounds, you're gonna have to buy a new one a lot sooner than one that say holds a baby up to 35 pounds. So just do a little bit of investigating. I'll link all these products below in the blog post. You can take a look at the one we have and see what you think. Okay, that being said about hauling car seats around, I will say one thing. I used to always pull my baby out in the car seat to take them in and out of the store. I don't do that very much anymore for a number of reasons. Number one, it's heavy. Number two, I don't usually have an extra arm because I'll have other toddlers with me. So I almost always baby wear when I'm out and about, especially with a little baby, like 2 or 3 or 4 months old. I love it. So I'll pull them out of their car seat, stick them in a wrap, and then go about my business. I have 2 free hands to push my cart or hold on to other toddlers. It's life-changing if you've never tried it. Couple of wraps I recommend. Number one, the Solly Baby wrap is probably the one I use most of the time, especially when my babies are really little. Now, the downside to this wrap is there's a bit of a learning curve. It's a huge swath of fabric. It takes some time to figure out how to wrap it up and get it just the right tightness so that your baby's not slipping out, but is comfortable and you can kiss their head. They're nice and close. Other than that downside, it really is great. The Solly is much lighter weight than other ones that I've tried. They come in a bunch of adorable colors. The fabric is comfy and just the perfect amount of stretch. I personally love it. Another wrap option is the ring sling. So it's kind of like a wrap, a long stretch of fabric, but it wraps around your body like this and connects with a big metal ring. The reason I love those is because they're extremely easy to put on. You just slip them on and stick your baby in. Very little adjusting. So that's awesome to just throw in your bag and throw on when you get to the store. That one does take a little bit of adjusting to figure out exactly what's most comfortable for you and baby, but it also adjusts as your baby gets bigger, so also a great option. Finally, when it comes to baby wearing, I really love the Ergo Baby, and this is a more structured carrier designed specifically for bigger babies. Now, you can totally do some investigating, see if there's one you like better, but the reason I love the Ergo is it is really ergonomically correct, and it does not hurt your back even when you wear a bigger baby for hours and hours on end. I recently picked up the Ergo 360, which I love because not only can you wear it with baby facing in, but baby can also face out, which as they get older is a lot more fun for them. So highly recommend that one as a structured carrier, but you basically don't need it until your baby's about 6 months old. Okay, so now that we're talking about being out and about with baby, let's talk about strollers. All right, so admittedly, we do not use a stroller hardly at all anymore. We still have a double one. We use it for Disneyland, other amusement parks, going on long walks, etc. But we also have a collapsible wagon that we use a lot. So between those two things, we usually figure out a way to haul toddlers long distances. When it comes to strollers, there's really no right stroller for every situation. There just isn't. It depends on how many kids you have, where you're gonna be going with the stroller, how much you're gonna be using it, how much stuff you wanna haul with you. A couple of notable standouts are the basic single stroller that you can either put a car seat in or a baby in. But like I said, if you plan to have any other kids, you might just wanna invest in a double right up front. So my sister-in-law and I have kind of a running joke about how great strollers are when shopping. And so we often bring a double stroller with just one kid with us, and sometimes we've been known to bring a double stroller to the mall with no kids. People think we're weirdos, but we go Christmas shopping and just stack all our presents in the double stroller and we're good. I will recommend for a double stroller the Baby Jogger City Select. I have heard nothing but rave reviews about this stroller. It's a little bit cheaper than some of the really high-end designer strollers, but it's just as awesome. I personally don't have this stroller, but my sister does, and I love it every time she brings it. It pushes like a dream. It has all these attachments. You can get like the little runner board for a kid to ride on. The sky's the limit on how you want to customize this thing. It is kind of pricey, but if you've got a baby shower coming up or a registry you want to put it on, go for it. Okay, so that's all I have to say about being out on the go with baby. Let's go back inside and talk about some of the things you'll need in your house. One of the hands down best things I ever bought was a really, really nice glider for my baby's nursery or even for my master bedroom. Now, there are a lot of ways you can go about this. You can get a rocking chair, you can get a recliner. I personally love rocker recliners because if baby's fussy, you can sit down and rock them and pat them, and then if they fall asleep, you can just kick your feet up, recline, and fall asleep with them. That is golden, especially in those first couple of weeks of being sleep-deprived zombies with a baby that never wants to sleep. Highly recommend that. When picking one out, I like to just go to one massive baby box store and sit in all the recliners they have and try them out. Kick my feet up, try to fall asleep a little bit, see if they're pretty supportive. I also like arms that are a little bit higher so that when breastfeeding a baby, I don't have to have an extra pillow that I shove under my elbow. I can just rest my elbow on the arms of the chair. So something to think about. Now let's talk quickly about two things that a lot of people think they have to have. One is a baby swing. And a baby swing is one of those things that you just never quite know if you'll need until you have the baby. So I've had a baby swing for a lot of my babies and some I haven't. Some have loved it. Like my oldest was a total cranky punk. He would not sleep like at all, and he was always fussy. And so to get him to sleep, there were some nights he just slept all night in his swing. It was a lifesaver. I don't know how he would have survived without it. That being said, I've had other kids that did not care for it at all. Not only would they not sleep in it, they just cried and cried until I got him out. So like I said, just something that you're gonna have to figure out for yourself. If there's a swing you can borrow, that's awesome. A friend or maybe a used baby store, you could go pick one up for 25 bucks and try it out before investing $150 or however much they are now. It's pretty common for baby swings to plug into the wall now. Make sure that you get one like that if the battery ones even exist anymore. That is golden, so it never runs out of batteries. And really, you don't need a ton of bells and whistles, just one that goes back and forth and calms baby down when they're extra fussy. The other thing that I think is fairly optional is a baby jumper. So you've probably seen these. They're like a big round ring, and maybe they have a round ring on the floor and then something that suspends the baby in between the two, and they bounce up and down. This is something you might want to look into when baby gets a little bit older, 6, 7, 8 months, when they can hold up their head, hold up their neck, and they want to be upright, but you don't want to hold them all the time. You can stick them in that and they jump up and down, kind of exercises their little legs and gets them ready for walking. Again, some of my kids have loved this, some have not. Definitely a piece I recommend borrowing first before investing a lot of money in. Okay, there is one other device that you put your baby in that I highly recommend. I've used with every single baby, and I had no idea I needed it when I first registered for my first baby, and that is a baby bouncer. So these little bouncy seats are portable, they're small, they are minimal bells and whistles if you don't want them, but they can be a lifesaver, and I'll tell you why. Number one, most babies after the first couple of weeks don't want to lay down flat all the time. So unless they're strapped to you or being held by you, they can get fussy when you lay them down. So if you want to cook dinner, if you want to get in the shower, if you want to have a phone call without a baby attached to you, you're gonna have to put your baby somewhere. And especially if you don't have big kids or a spouse around to help you, these are lifesavers. With my fussy babies, I would put them in one, turn on some white noise, and then go take a shower, and they'd be happy. I'd put them in one while I wash dishes or did anything that I had to have two hands for and that my baby didn't want to be strapped to me for. Or if it happened to be 120 degrees in the summer and I didn't feel like having extra baby weight on me. So I highly recommend these. Like I said, you can buy them with tons of extra features. I currently have one that plays music and actually bounces itself, which is kind of awesome, but totally not necessary. You can pick one up for like 30 bucks and they're really, really nice to have, especially nice if you're traveling. You happen to go to the beach, you can put your baby in this little chair and not have sand get kicked on them. If you go stay in a hotel, put the baby in a chair and a big sibling won't step on them, etc. Highly recommend this one. I've already mentioned multiple times the white noise machine. You guys, this thing is a lifesaver. I love our white noise machine so much. In fact, we bought a couple of cheap versions in the past, and I'll link those as well, but I'll also link kind of the Cadillac of white noise machines, which we just picked up a few months ago, and I love. The reason I love it is because I actually enjoy listening to it. Some of the white noise machines that we've had, especially the cheaper versions, the white noise is kind of grainy and I can hear loops in it. It's just not very fun for me to fall asleep to. And if my baby's in my room with me, kind of a deal breaker. So this nicer one has been just a dream to have, and we really enjoy it. It's a little bit more expensive, but I think it's worth it. Now there's two reasons the white noise machine is so awesome. Number one, it kind of mimics the noise of baby being in utero. You have to realize when baby's inside you, it's not quiet. And so if they come out and all of a sudden it's a very, very quiet room, any sudden noise or you drop a book or something could wake up your baby. Secondly, if you've got other kids, your house isn't quiet anyway, but the screams of other kids might disturb your baby. So the white noise machine can cover both of those things and is definitely a product I recommend. Now let's move on to some feeding stuff. We mentioned at the beginning you really just need breast milk and or formula and some bottles if you're gonna bottle feed. If you are breastfeeding, I do recommend getting a breast pump. This is something that comes really naturally to some women and is a bit of a struggle to others, but it is really nice if you're determined not to use formula to have a way to express breast milk to give your baby if you wanna leave. When it comes to choosing one, really, it's just a matter of preference. All the breast pumps that I've tried, as long as they were nicer ones, have worked fine for me. One recommendation I will share is to look into your health insurance plan. If you have health insurance, many plans offer a free breast pump as their maternity coverage, which is awesome because some of these can run $200 and up. Once you've gotten a great breast pump, if you are breastfeeding, I recommend just getting a pack of maybe 2 bottles and letting your baby try it out first. Because when transitioning a baby from breast to bottle, they can be really picky and not necessarily like the kind of bottle that you get them. So it might take a little bit of adjusting, a little bit of trial and error to find out exactly what they like. So I wouldn't invest a ton of money in bottles until you know if your kid is even gonna take one. If you're bottle feeding, this is less of an issue because your baby's not gonna get used to your breast and then have to be transitioned to a bottle, but you still might have to look around to find one that your baby likes best. Similar deal with pacifiers. Usually the hospital or birth center you go to will give you some of those little green, weird looking plasticky ones. Some babies love them, some babies don't. So you might have to go out and look for a little more ergonomically correct one for your baby, especially as they get a little bit older. Just kind of a trial and error thing. While we're talking about feeding babies, let's talk about a high chair real quick. You guys, there's nothing I hate more than a big, giant high chair taking up space in my kitchen that I trip over all the time. Some people love them, I personally do not. We have not had a high chair for probably 5 or 6 years. What we do have is a little chair that attaches to the counter or the table. The one we have is called the Inglesina brand. It is awesome. I seriously love it. I don't recommend taking it out and about. It's not particularly easy to put on and off. You can do it and you can pull the whole cover off and wash it if you need to, which I do regularly because they get disgusting. But we basically keep it permanently attached to our island where all the other kids eat, and I plop my baby or toddler in there and they eat along with everybody else. That being said, babies really don't need solid food until at least 6 months, and even longer is not a big deal. And so it's not really something I suggest investing in really early on. You can totally wait on something like that. But when your baby's ready for solids, check out this one. I love it. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about baby monitors. There are also a bazillion different kinds out there. I personally tend towards the most minimalistic, basic variety out there simply because I just want to hear my baby. Now, a few notes on this. I actually didn't need a baby monitor until maybe my 6th kid for a few reasons. Number one, we never lived in a house big enough where I couldn't hear my baby throughout the house. And number two, I didn't have a ton of other kids to mask the noise of the baby crying, so I could always hear them. Now that we're in a slightly bigger house and I have to kind of lock my baby away from the toddler and my kids are always so noisy, I don't always hear him when he cries. So I do have a monitor now, super simple. I think it cost me 20 bucks on Amazon. I just stick it in where he's sleeping, and the other one I either bring into the kitchen with me or I can carry it around the yard or into my office so that I can always hear the baby. So also something you might not need depending on your lifestyle or the size of your house. If you are really into gadgets and you want something super high-end, you can also get a camera that watches over your baby. That's kind of nice to see if your baby's sleeping, see if they're being fussy, but it's not strictly necessary. Now let's talk quickly about bathing your baby. Bathing a newborn can be one of the scariest things ever. They're just like so little and they think they're gonna break and you don't want to put them in water that could drown. It's like terrifying, even for me on my 9th baby. So I definitely recommend having a great tub. Some of the bigger tubs just take up a lot of space and I don't love them. One of my best recommendations for a newborn baby tub is the Pudge tub. It's essentially just a big oval made out of this squishy little foam material, and it folds so that it fits into your sink perfectly, which I love. You can put it in a bathroom sink and a kitchen sink, and your baby can actually use it for quite a few months. It also stores flat, either under a crib or on the back of a door, which is really, really nice. If you want something a little bit bigger and you don't mind storing it, a big plastic tub, especially with a sling in the middle, can be great. The sling is used for when baby's really little, then you can take it out as they get older. You can even put it in a big bathtub. When they can sit up on their own, they can sit in the tub but not worry about them drowning in the big tub. Of course, you always stay right within arm's reach, right? But a couple different options there. I'll link both of those for you. We personally right now just kind of bathe baby with us. I usually take baby into the shower with me, but I'm a little bit more of an experienced mom and I don't worry about dropping him. That is a really scary thing, like I mentioned, so I don't blame you if you really want to get something secure that you're not going to freak out about. I also recently saw an inflatable bathtub. So it's basically like a big chair that blows up. You can sit inside the bathtub and put a baby in. It's gotten a ton of great reviews. I'll link that as well because that seems really intriguing. Okay, let's talk about clothes really quickly. You really don't need to register for clothes or really even pick that much out yourself because almost every baby shower, if you have one or any relatives nearby, someone will bring you clothes and they'll be adorable. That's always fun. As far as bare basics, I would maybe grab a pack of onesies, some sleepers, and swaddle blankets. I love swaddle blankets. The Aiden and Ace brand, I think that's how you say it, is awesome. They're really, really big. They're made out of thin muslin. They're great for wrapping your baby up real tight. You can also get sleep sacks or swaddle blankets that have Velcro, so your baby's like really strapped in there. I know that seems kind of cruel, but when baby's stuck inside you, they really, really like being tight and wrapped up. It makes them feel secure. So as soon as they get out, they often flail. They have that like startle reflex where they wake themselves up sometimes, so when baby's wrapped up, they sleep so much better. And lastly, I'm gonna give you my not necessary list, okay? This is, again, me personally. If this is something that really intrigues you or you really like the idea, go ahead and get it, but I'm gonna tell you that they never really worked for us. Number one is a diaper pail. We used one of these for a couple of kids, but honestly, I just wasn't great at emptying it all the time. I prefer to take the dirty diapers right outside. Sometimes I'll just put them right by my door, or sometimes having a diaper pail right outside the back door was a little bit better for me because I just didn't like that there was lingering smells. Sometimes even the best pails often stink. So me personally, I like to just take my dirty diapers out right when I change them. Second is a changing table. So changing tables I think are just kind of a waste of space. If you can get one that has a lot of storage underneath and closed cabinets, because babies like to pull stuff off of open shelves, then that can be great, but it's really just not necessary as far as long-term goes. Your baby only needs to have their diaper changed up on a high surface for the first 6 or 7 months, and then I just change them on the floor. What I do like is having a changing pad on top of a dresser. So that's a really easy workaround so that you don't have to have a specific dedicated piece of furniture to change your baby, but you still have a nice soft contoured space. There are these great wooden frames you can buy on Amazon that fit a contoured pad that you just sit right on the top of a low dresser. That's what we have right now for our babies, and I love it. Again, along the lines of a high chair, a booster that goes at your table is generally not necessary until your kid becomes maybe 1.5, 2. They can usually sit in the chair that I mentioned that attaches to your bar or your table, or in a high chair if you choose that. You really don't need a booster at the table for quite a while. Also, a pack and play or a portable crib. Now, if you do a lot of traveling, you might want to get this sooner rather than later, but if you have a bassinet that folds up or is fairly portable, I usually just take that on vacation for quite a while. Once your baby gets mobile, you will need a pack and play when you travel. They're really easy to fold up into this little cube and throw in the back of your trunk. Most hotels offer these if you call ahead and ask for them, so that's a really nice thing to have with you. Even if you just go to grandma's a lot, maybe you can buy 2 and store one at grandma's house and one at your house. And then finally, baby toys. People love buying baby clothes and they love buying baby toys. So if you don't get any at your baby shower, do not despair. Babies really don't need toys for months and months after they're born, usually at least 4 or 5 months. And even at that point, I usually just give my kids some safe household object. They love to play with like the teaspoons or an older kid's doll or something. Not strictly necessary, but if you have the money and you really want to buy them a cute little colorful toy, go for it. And that's my big baby list. I hope you guys love this video. I hope it kind of made you feel a little bit more calm about all the things you need and don't need, and made you realize you really don't need to spend a ton of money before expecting your baby. You can start out with the bare basics and then just accumulate more toys and goodies as needed. I hope you're excited about this motherhood journey. You're gonna do great. I'm excited for you. Talk to you later. What? Did you buy it?
Just FYI, we've got 2 GoPros coming tomorrow.
Nice. Cool.
Because Mom, the one I have is $80 and I have $40 in my wallet right now, $50 in coins, and then $30 on the sheet. So that's
50
8.
in coins?
I mean 5 in coins.
Oh, okay.
50.
All right, I'm recording, so I gotta keep going, okay? All right, good night. I'm excited for you. It's gonna be awesome.
Okay, and Toby's is 120, and when he was about to walk into his room, he's like, I just realized this. I just wasted $120 on a camera. But yeah, and none of them are waterproof, but we could probably get, because I mean, you can get one of those standing up cases for $3.
Yeah.
So you could probably get a waterproof case for like 20.
Okay, cool.
All right.
I'm excited. Bye.
Yeah.
Good night.
When are you gonna be in that house again? Back into the house.
In a little bit, 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
Okay, good night.